Okay. Hello, Knockouts. Tonya TKO here, and I am a self-love specialist and relationship expert from TonyaTKO.com. Today, we're going to be talking about how to avoid abusive relationships. So if you like this video, it resonated with you, make sure that you thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and share this video with someone who you feel may need this message. We're going to be jumping into it piece by piece. I do have the board behind me, and I'm going to ask you to take some notes or at least memorize it onto your spirit, because the stuff that we're talking about today is really important. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Abuse is one of my triggers. I'm very sensitive to it, and it enrages me. For those of you who know me, you know that I grew up in the Bronx, and I grew up in a depressed area. And there was a lot of abuse that surrounded me as a child. People who would attack you, look for reasons to attack you or anybody else for whatever particular reason they chose to attack that day, whether you seemed like you were too smart or too good, or if you weren't good enough, I grew up in an area with abuse, and abuse is one of my triggers, and I want to help you be able to avoid abusive relationships. Something happened to me last week, and that was the impetus for this video. I was riding in a car with an associate of mine, and she asked me to look something up inside of her phone. She asked me to look up a hardware store inside of her phone because she wanted to go there before they closed. And I asked her how to spell it. And so I'm typing it in. The spelling that she gave me was not correct. This is so ridiculous. The spelling she gave me was not correct. She started getting loud with me. I told her I was going to look it up under hardware, and she was like, "It's not there under hardware." She started trying to grab the phone from me out of my hand. And then after all was said and done, because I found it under hardware, she had misspelled the first name. And I told her, you can just take a few moments afterwards to just look at the name, and you'll see that it was misspelled in there. And she's going on, anybody else who would have looked it up would have just gone to the letter and scrolled down. Well, I'm from the new generation, and I don't know how you look up information, but I wouldn't click on the letter and then scroll down because we have so many contacts in our phones. This woman happened to be much older than I was. And I told this story to other people, and somebody else was like, "Oh, well, she's older. That's how older people are." And this is precisely why I'm making this video. And I'm glad that this happened in my life now, so it can remind me to be able to make videos like this, right? So that we can talk about abuse and how it shows up inside your relationship. And I'll finish up that story and how it went when I asked her to come and have a conversation with me afterwards. But nonetheless, listen, number one is they don't know. They don't know that they're abusive. Like I told you, the neighborhood that I grew up in, people are raised and born into, it's I don't know if you guys have ever heard that the symbology, the analogy of an egg being steeped in water that's been blanched in coffee, and how the eggshell will take on the color of this coffee. When we're born into a thing, when we're born into a way of how to communicate, how to discuss, how to handle our tempers, and whether or not we put our hands on other people, many of these things are second nature to us. And one of the things that keeps us inside of abusive relationships is expecting the person to know that they're abusive or that their way of operating is not functional, waiting for the come to Jesus moment where the person is like, "Oh, why have I been doing this to you all of this time?" No, this is really about you. Because don't wait for them, because they don't know. They don't know that they're abusive. They don't know, they don't realize that the way that they're doing things. And some people have even convinced themselves that it's because of you and what it is that you are doing that is having that effect on them. I tell people this all the time. People are like, "Oh, I give respect to people who respect me." And I'm like, no, I give respect to people not because of who they are, but because of who I am. I do not alter who it is that I am based on outside influence. I am me. I have created the person that I choose to be. And that's another thing, choice. Listen, let's get to number two. Let's get to number two, boundaries. Boundaries. You have to figure out where you end and they begin. We're going to come back to this number a little bit later, but 50-50. You make up 50, can you see that? 50-50. You make up 50% of this relationship. You are in a relationship. When I say that I'm a relationship expert, I'm not just talking about dating. I'm talking about the way that two or more items relate to one another. You make up half of this relationship. Is your half being respected? Where does your half end? What is it that you are willing? You have to draw your hard line in the sand. You see this slash between there? That's the hard line that you have to draw. And to know what it is that you will and will not tolerate. What are your hard boundaries? What are the boundaries that are in line with your goals and your values and who it is that you know of yourself and who it is that you choose to be? Where's that hard line? And then what happens when a person crosses that hard line? So that's number two. Number three. Number three, how do you feel? You know, because like I said, you can't wait on another person expecting for them to be like, oh, why am I so abusive? No, you can't wait for them. You have to really dig within yourself. You have to listen to your gut. How does your gut feel about what's going on? Do you have to rationalize your feelings? You have to be like, oh, it's not that bad. You have to rationalize how it is that you feel. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe, because there are people who will gaslight you, who will pretend as if what it is that you know to be true is not really true. What it is that you see and know and hear with your own eyes or feel with your own spirit. There are people who will try to convince you that you are wrong. Now listen, there are no wrong feelings. Remember, like I said, the area in which I grew up in made me very sensitive to abuse. All of us come from a different background. We all come from a different background. And so what it is that we've been programmed to feel and see and our program that's been created, we're all going to relate to different things in different ways. And then so let's jump into this 50-50 right here. This is my favorite, number 4. This is my favorite part of this topic. Because this is the part that often gets overlooked or misunderstood. Okay. So let's get back to the 50-50. You make up 50% of this relationship, they make up their 50%. Do you feel as if your 50% is respected? Do you feel as if your 50% is half of the relationship, or are they taking up 75% of the space and you're taking up 25% of the space? What it is that you say and feel doesn't really matter. You're getting stepped on, you're not getting respected. How do you feel about your 50%? So that's A right there. You let them know how you feel. How do you feel? Talk to them. How do you feel? Have a conversation with them about your feelings, knowing that all of our feelings are valid. All of our feelings are a reflection of our programming, right? And so B, if they want you in this relationship, if they respect your 50%. Look, this is a relationship, whether you like it, whether they like it or not, whether they're like, oh, we're not in a relation. No. By the time that you start relating with another person, you are in a relationship with that person. Are they willing to do the things necessary to make your 50% feel comfortable in this relationship? And if not, if they are not, then here, where do we go with this? Where do we go? This right here is one of my favorite sayings. I even made a meme out of it. Right here. Look at these letters. A, S, V. Let your absence speak volumes. That's it. You know, people come to me and they're like, Tonya, how do you make people respect you? I don't make anybody respect me. Respect is something that either you give or I'm gone. I don't play those games. I do not. I don't play, you're gonna respect me, you're gonna do, no, I don't play that. You respect me, or I let my absence speak volumes. I'm gone, I'm out of there. Because I know who it is that I am and I know what it is that I bring into a relationship, whether platonic or otherwise. I know that I'm an amazing person. I'm a good person to know. I'm a good person to hang around. I uplift the vibration of wherever it is that I go. And another thing, because I know who it is that I am, I know how I treat people. And I know when I do not see that reflected back to me. I don't go around abusing anyone. I do not. I treat everyone with the same kindness and love that I would want to be received unto me. So that when I know that something comes across what it is and comes against what it is that I, or who it is that I know myself to be, I know that this is not reflecting back to me what I have put out there into the world and into the universe. And it makes it easier for me to say, you know what? No, uh-uh. I'm not down with it. So you know what? I'm going to give you guys a tip and then we're going to get out of the video. I'm going to give you all a tip, right? When someone tries to abuse you, here we go. Let's not have that conversation with them right off the bat. Remember, come at the conversation from a positive standpoint. You don't have to say, don't abuse me, don't this, don't that. Because many of us don't really even know what abuse really is and how it really looks or feels like. So that's why you have to tap into your own feelings. So, but when you have this conversation with them, just start the conversation saying, you know what? Let's not. Let's have healthy, functional communication. Let's do that. Let's not introduce disrespect into our relationship. Let's not introduce disrespect into our relationship. Let's not introduce profanity at one another. Let's not. Because you know that these types of things can go down a terrible road when you start introducing profanity. You don't really know how far it'll go. So let's just not do it. Let's just not do it at all. And so to finish up the story with how things ended up with this woman, I told her that I'd like to, because she tried to invite me out. Oh, one thing that I did not mention is that she threatened me. She told me that if we were closer to some town or whatever, that she would put me out of her car and that I'd have to find another way back to the RV park. And when she said that, you know what? I'm not going to stay there arguing with a person. I just zipped, especially since she's practicing some unsafe driving techniques. I already knew what it is that I needed to do. Because this is the thing, right? Are you loving yourself through a relationship or self-abusing? There's only two things. Is this relationship that you're in, is it an act of self-love? In this relationship, are you loving yourself through this relationship, or are you self-abusing through this relationship? I knew what it is that I needed to do. One of the things that I want you to remember, that it's okay to like another person. I like you, but I love myself. I like you, but I love me. At the end of the day, your relationship has to be a relationship that is an expression of your own love for yourself through this relationship. Because many of us, listen, when we talk about the basis for any relationship, it all starts with self-love. That's the foundation for any relationship. It starts with self-love. So is this relationship an extension of the love that you have for yourself? Or are there things that are coming up inside of this relationship that you allow and endure because of the feeling of self-hatred, lack of self-worth, or low esteem that you have for yourself, so that you are then able to use this relationship as a form of self-abuse? Because it all boils down to choice. So I invited her over to have a conversation. Well, I told her, let's have a conversation. She decided to come over. I started bringing up, what was going on? What was that about? Because when we were inside of the car, I attempted, before she told me she was going to put me out, I attempted to have this conversation with her. And I was like, you know what? I can promise you that I will not holler and scream at you. And I expect the same. And as she started mocking me, she was like, I left it alone that day. When I got safe, I sent her a text message, said, let's have a conversation. She came over. She started getting loud with me. She started changing the story. She started changing it from her handing me her phone and asking me to look up a number. She changed it to the number was on the screen. Listen, I shouldn't change up the thing, no man. She changed it and said, the number was on the screen. You started messing with my phone. Yeah, you mess with my phone. You gonna get in trouble. She started getting loud with me, turned her back on me like she was walking away. And you know what? I was attempting to have a little bit of a conversation with her as she was trying to walk away. I said, you know what? That's her answer right there. The way that it is that I cannot listen. We're all raised in different ways. I'm not here to try to raise grown people. And when people get set in who it is, listen, we all have these internal programmings. Apparently, however it is that she was raised and programmed to have conversations with people, it looked a lot like that. And I'm not interested. I'm not interested in relationships where I don't feel welcomed, where I don't feel like my participation in this relationship is respected. I'm not interested in it at all. And this is part of the reason that it's very important to have a clear understanding of who it is that you are and how it is that you show up in all of your relationships so that you know when to be able to, when something does not reflect you back to you. Because it's easier to recognize when you don't have that in your life, when you don't perpetuate that from you. It's easy to recognize that this is, that is not me. When I see that, when I saw that, when she was speaking to me that way, I said, you know what? I don't talk to people this way. It felt, when we start talking about your gut, it felt disgusting to me. And I said, you know what? That's her answer right there. That was all I needed to know. And then ASV, I let my absence speak volumes. And since then, she's contacted me trying to hang out and all this other stuff. I don't have time for this. I don't. We're all grown. Listen, we got to govern ourselves. So I hope that you appreciated this topic. Tell me, which one of these stood out the most to you? Which one was your favorite one? 1 through 5. We have they don't know, boundaries, how do you feel, 50-50, and an absence speak volumes. Which one is your favorite one? You guys know which one is my favorite. So leave your comments below. Remember, if you like videos like these, make sure that you subscribe. Follow me all over the internet. I'm Tonya TKO. And hit the bell. Share this video with other people and give me a hug so we get out of here. Hug me, hug me. Yes, yes, yes. Go out there and love one another. But most importantly, what? That's right. Love yourself. Love yourself. And loving yourself is aligning yourself in relationships that are self-loving. Love yourself through relationships. All right. And tell me what you think about my wig. This is my first time wearing it. It reminds me of a friend my mother and father had from the 80s who was an alcoholic. It just, you know what, but it's fun. She was a fun woman. Oh, she really was. I don't know what happened with her now. But anyway, Tonya TKO, and I am out. I will see you all in the next video. Make sure that you drop me those questions so that we can bring those